Hello. In tonight's video, we're going to be going over, again, the database adapter, but also this time we're going to be working with the FlowN activity, which is an Oracle extension, and allows you to basically loop through the data of a record set or some sort of array, processing basically at the same time, although I've read that, in fact, it doesn't spawn a different thread. So it's not exactly the same as being multi-threaded, but it is basically running it at the same time as opposed to a while, which is sequential, or a for each, which can be sequential or parallel. And the for each, of course, is the BEPL 2.0 activity that replaces FlowN, but it will be around a while. So basically what we're doing here is we have our BEPL process. Here's the composite. It gets the data from the employees, and in this case I'm actually not handing a DEP ID to it, I'm handing a IMP ID. I've changed this because I wanted to experience working with a subquery in the database adapter. It's not a big deal, but it's always nice to know. Here you have a subquery, and it is getting the employee ID, giving it the employee ID to grab the department ID, which then gives all of the employees in the department of that same person. It's similar to a previous one where we actually did 2 database calls. This is just doing 1. And then we're going to write out the results, because it's important to know, just beyond that the assign works, that actually what you get from the assign is actually going to a file. And with the FlowN, it can be difficult if you don't use local variables. So that's one thing you need to consider. Okay, we are going to deploy this, and we'll work on it once it's deployed. Okay, I am in Enterprise Manager. I have entering a employee ID of 100 and testing the web service here. And did I test it? Maybe I didn't press it. That was, yeah, took a little too long. Usually it takes about 2 seconds. Now, here we have the process. We have 3 FlowN writers. The BEPL is here. Let's go out and look at our files. We have 1, 2, and 3. So we all have, that's working fine. Let's go back to our domain, and we can look at the flow, which is always nice to see exactly what it's doing. And here you can see that in fact it's getting the data. The assign, because I'm assigning it one by one, this is the didn't really go over that, did I? I can show you quickly the assignment here. Where is my JDeveloper? So here you can see that I'm assigning each value and using the position ID to grab the correct value for the node. But it's all working fine, and that's the important thing. So it's very useful to have this, and then you run a process on each one of these employees as you cycle through it. You can do that for anything, whether it's orders or any type of data set that you need to cycle through and run a process on. And the FlowN writer is just an example of what you can do. Normally, wouldn't necessarily just write it to file, but might send out an email or some other process like that. Okay, well, thank you very much. I hope this was helpful. Have a good evening.